If you're an entrepreneur, you need to have wind in your sails. You have to have that. There's a big discussion about like discipline versus motivation, and people say discipline is more important than motivation, and I hear this all the time. First of all, I just don't think that they understand what those words even mean. Whether I'm sitting on the couch or whether I am going for a run, both of them I'm motivated. Just one of them I'm motivated to sit on the couch. One of them I'm motivated to go out on that run. Motivation is just what is the motive behind what I am doing. Motivation is a completely different thing than having that excitement. Rather than calling it excitement, we're going to call it state. I find that the most important thing for success within a business or any goal is being in a peak state. When it comes down to a peak state, there's three things that we can do to get us in that peak state. The answer is not to think your way out of this problem, because you're not going to all of a sudden feel better. In fact, if you just start working on something before you get into that peak state, you're going to find a problem for every solution. Doesn't matter what the solution is, you're going to find what's wrong with that solution. What we need to do is to first get in that peak state, and we can ask ourselves three questions. What did I do with my physiology? So what did I do with my physiology that contributed to the feeling that I'm having right now? Might be I didn't sleep last night. It might be I haven't ate anything, or I just ate junk food today. I haven't moved very much. I've been sitting in this same place for hours and hours. So what can I do? I can move. I can move different. I can just immediately change my posture, put my shoulders back. I can immediately take deep breaths. I can drink some water. I can have a healthy meal. Or I can go out on a walk. I can go out moving. I can get some exercise or turn some music on and start dancing. You will immediately feel differently from just doing that one simple thing. Once you've done that, we're going to go to the second thing. What have I done with my focus? What have I been focusing on that has contributed to the way that I'm feeling right now? Most likely, if you're not feeling it, you've probably been focusing on what's wrong. You've been focusing on the problems. You've been focusing on the mountain of things that we have to do. We use all these words about all the problems that we have, and we've been focusing on those things. So how can we shift our focus into a different thing? Can we focus on the solutions? Can we focus on what we've succeeded in the past? Can we focus on what we're grateful for? Can we focus on the good things instead of on the problems? Lastly, the third part, this is called the Triad. This is something that Tony Robbins talks about. The third part of the Triad is our language. So what have I been doing with my language that has contributed to how I am feeling today? Am I saying things like, I'm under this mountain, I'm overwhelmed? Or am I saying, I've gone through things like this before, I can get through this again. I'm going to learn a lot from this. What can I learn here? How can I find the solution? How can I discover the solution? How can I identify the solution? So I start using language that is empowering instead of disempowering. A lot of us use language that is very disempowering as saying we have no power in this situation. But if we start using language instead of why did this happen to me? Well, what did I do to create this? Just right there, that's accepting power in the situation. And if we can focus on and intentionally use our physiology, use our focus, and use our language, we can instantly change our state. And then when we have that state change, the work's going to become so much easier. And before someone says, well, that sounds great, but I think it's going to take an hour for me to do that, and I don't have time for that. I have too much work to do. Well, I'd ask you this. Are 7 hours of quality work worth more than 8 hours of very lazy, uninspired work? I would argue that the 7 hours of effective work where you are at your peak state is so much more valuable. I tell my clients all the time, when they say, I don't have time, I say, okay, we need to make time. Consider your time to get yourself into that state a part of your work day. Schedule it in your work day so that you have no excuse. And anyone who says, I don't have time, I'm going to tell you, you're going to get more done in 7 hours of effective work than 8 hours of uninspired, wind out of your sales efforts.